Welcome to my stay-at-home workout. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. If you've been following along with me all week, you'll notice that these brief workouts that we've been doing have actually all balanced each other out really nicely. Well, this is what I call my accessory day, where I basically fill in the gaps and give a little bit of extra attention to anything that didn't quite get taken care of over the course of the last 4 days. So that's going to look like some glute bridges or hip thrusts with a little bit of extra abduction work in there. We're going to do some band pull-aparts for the upper back, and we're going to hit a little tricep work as well. Let me show you what equipment I'm working with, and hopefully you got something similar that you can use. I got a resistance band. It's about a 1/2 inch in width. And then I got another little resistance band. It's like a lower body band, a little bit thicker, so I'm going to use that around my knees later on. I've got, for my weight, just a 10-pound ball here, very versatile, that I like to incorporate into all kinds of exercises. And I'm going to use, of course, my mat on the floor just to make things a little bit more comfortable. Before we get into those 3 exercises, though, I'm going to hit a little bit of core bracing. So a couple different exercises for you. We're going to go into a side plank, but we're going to incorporate a knee drive for a little bit of extra hip work there. Then we're going to go into a classic forearm plank. We're going to get a little scapular or a shoulder blade work in there too, and I'll show you how. And then we're just going to hit side plank on the other side. And we'll just kind of go right through those. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. So first, the side plank is going to be from the elbow. This upper arm here is going to be straight up and down. You're going to bridge up at the hips. When you bridge up, you're going to kind of be squeezing this elbow in towards your torso to tighten up this area here. You want to be a nice straight line from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head. But instead of going up on 2 feet, I'm actually just going to go up on 1. All right, so just this top leg is going to be supporting me, which makes it a little bit tougher. And this leg is going to be bent here to start. The thighs are going to be parallel. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive the knee through for reps. I'm going to do that 10 times, okay? So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to bridge up at the hips like so. Nice straight line through the top of the head. I'm going to point those toes up to get a little extra tightness, squeezing this elbow in. Now I drive. 1, 2, and so on. All right, so I'll give you a second to get set up there. We're going to go for 10, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now we're going to roll into a classic forearm plank. So once again, we're a nice straight line from the feet to the top of the head. I'm not shrugging, so I've got my shoulders down away from my ears. I'm going to tuck those ribs up, keep that midsection tight, make sure the butt's not popping. From here, my shoulder blades are protracted forward, but then I'm going to bring those shoulder blades together, so I'm going to retract them, keeping that nice plank position, and then protract. So these are scapular shrugs, going to open up the upper part of your torso there. We're going to do that 5 times. 1, 2, it's kind of like you're opening and closing your wings. That's all you're moving. 3, 4, 5. Now let's roll into side plank on the other side. We're going to get on that top leg again. Going to point those toes, squeezing in here. Nice straight line. We're going to drive that knee through, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And relax. Little breather here before we hit that plank circuit one more time. Pointing those toes really does help on the side planks. Kind of gives you a firm base of support and also just tightens up the lower leg here. With the plank, it's not just an upper body thing. You really want to be tight throughout the body. You don't want there to be kind of any dips in that nice firm line. Same thing goes when you're doing the forearm plank. A common thing is to be really strong up here, but sort of let the midsection sag a bit. You want to take a big bracing breath and kind of tuck those ribs and hip bones in toward each other and make sure that spine stays nice and straight. Okay, we're going to do that again. Same deal here. All right, nice straight line, bridging up at the hips, pointing those toes. And a big bracing breath, keeping those ribs down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, let's roll into this classic forearm plank. I'm going to start up with those shoulder blades protracted forward, tucking that midsection. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to roll over side plank on the other side with that knee drive, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relaxing. A little water if you need it. So 3 exercises today, folks. The first one, the one we're giving the most attention to, so we want to be freshest when we hit it, it's going to be a little bit of a glute bridge or hip thrust. Kind of the same thing, not quite, but you can kind of use either name interchangeably for this variation. We're going to do that, if you have it, with a band wrapped around the knees. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. If you don't have a band, it's no big deal. You can still do the exercise. Okay, this just makes it a little bit more challenging. I'm going to step through this band. It's basically right at the top of my knees there. Then I'm going to lay flat on my back to start. I got my knees bent, as you can see. My hands are just by my sides. They're not going to be a part of this. So you don't want to push through the hands. Okay, the idea here is you're going to bridge up, and as you bridge up, you're going to push those knees out against that band. Notice I got my eyes on my hips, so I'm not doing this, I'm doing this, and this is a nice straight line. That core is nice and tight. I'm driving through the heels, okay? I'm not going to hang out up here this long. What I am going to do is, as I lower, it's going to be a nice controlled lower. 1, 2, 3, 4. I bridge up, I push the knees out, little squeeze of the glutes, little pause at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up nice and fast, little pause at the top. So that's how it's going to be for 8. We're going to control that lower on a 4 count every time. Remember, when you bridge up, you're going to squeeze those glutes, push the knees out, and hold for about a second at the top before going again. Okay? All right, that's what we're going to do. Pause, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4. Slow, 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 slow. 2 more. Nice and easy to start with. I'm going to throw the weight in my lap on the next set, but you kind of get the idea of the mechanics of the exercise from that. All right, the other 2 things we're going to do some tricep overhead extensions, and then we're going to hit some nice easy band pull-aparts. Okay, so the tricep overhead extension, I'm going to do this in a tall kneel. You can do this standing up if you like. I just want to remain in the frame. Plus, I like the tall kneel because it makes me concentrate on keeping my hips locked out and my ribs down. So that the meaning there is I don't want to arch. I don't want to arch my spine. All right, I want to keep that spine nice and straight. I also don't want to buckle at the hips. Right, I don't want that forward bend going on. Okay, I really want to keep a nice, solid, upright posture here and isolate the movement to the triceps. Now, I reach behind my head with that weight. I'm going to point those elbows forward. I've got those ribs down, those hips locked out. From here, I'm just extending overhead, like so. All right, so it's nice and simple. I'm really just moving at the elbow joint. And I'm just going to elbow lockout and then lowering it back down, staying tight in the core. Okay, going for 8 of those. I think I lost count, but let's call that 8. Might have been more. All right, now we're going to hit those band pull-aparts. All right, so you may have seen this one if you've been working out with me before. I love this because it opens up the chest, it brings those shoulders back, and it's kind of a great postural reset, as well as a resistance exercise. But depending on the amount of tension you put on this band, it can almost be like a stretch. It can be pretty easy, it can be pretty tough. It's totally up to you in that regard, okay? So I'm going to start with my arms straight out. My shoulders are back and down, so they're not up around my ears. Once again, I'm in the tall kneel, but you can do this standing. I'm going to keep that same tight core. From here, I'm just going to pull straight out. That band is ideally going to hit me in the chest. My shoulder blades come together in back, and then boom, and I go again. I am going to hold for about a second at this point. A little squeeze there as I feel those shoulder blades come together. And then I'm just going to go at normal speed for the rest of it. I'm just going to do 8 of those, okay? 1, 2. I want to feel those shoulder blades come together low down, about halfway down the back. That was 3. That's 4. That's 5. 6. 7. Watch those ribs. and 8. Little breather here, folks, a little bit of water. When we're working on muscle building, we do like to keep the rest periods fairly generous, more so than if we were working on endurance. With these exercises, which are a little bit on the lighter end today, for example, we can afford to shorten the rest periods a bit to get a little bit of cardio work in there as well and be a little bit more efficient. You know, there's all kinds of variables that you can play with depending on what your goals are, okay? So I won't be too prescriptive with that stuff for you. All right, once again, stepping through that band if you got it. Now, I'm going to place this weight comfortably in my lap, all right? Now, as weight gets added to this exercise, it becomes more tempting to arch in the back when you bridge up. Do not do that. And the way to convince yourself not to do it is to keep your eyes constantly down on your hips, because where you look is where you're going to go. So if you're looking at the wall behind you, you're probably going to end up bridging too high. Keep the eyes down on the hips and keep that motion controlled. The range of motion doesn't need to be super high. You don't need to be bridging up to the sky. You know what I mean? That's not really the point, okay? All right, so we're going to bridge. I'm actually going to hold the ball, but my arms aren't going to be doing anything more than keeping it in place. All right, so I'm going to bridge up, squeeze out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Squeezing those glutes, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. 6. 7. And 8. Rolling right into those tricep overhead extensions. Remember, keeping those hips locked out, ribs down, elbows pointing forward, 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 all right? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I encourage you, if that weight feels a little light, you can definitely up the weight, increase the intensity, however you see fit with that stuff, folks. That's all up to you. You know, gotta start where you're at, and I don't want to assume where anybody is at. Okay, so we're gonna keep those shoulders back and down. All right, little squeeze as we get to the end point of that reach. All right, remember, ribs down. 1, and squeezing those shoulder blades together. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, little breather. We're going to hit that one more time. I'm just going to show you, you don't have to do it, but I'm going to show you a way to sort of spice up those glute bridges, and if you've been working out with me before, you can probably guess what it is. I'm going to use this couch as an elevated surface. It's going to increase the range of motion for me, which is going to increase the overall intensity. Doesn't mean I bridge up higher, it actually allows me to kind of drop my butt lower on the way down, so I'm coming from a lower place, right? It's a safe way to increase that range of motion. So how do I do this? First of all, I make sure the couch isn't going to move on me. It's nice and braced against that wall, all right? So any kind of surface that you can sidle up to that is not going to move on you is going to work, okay? And then I got it basically just beneath my shoulder blades there, all right? You see my shins are basically straight up and down and parallel, all right? Bring that ball around comfortably in my lap, like so. I'm gonna start nice and low down, my eyes are on the hips, my core is tight, right? I'm gonna bridge up, squeeze, and then that lower, 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 lower. I get really low down now, right? And then I can bridge up, you know, it's just a greater range of motion, a little bit more work, that's all it is. Okay, we're gonna do 8 of those, all right. Squeeze, lower, 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 that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now another way you can increase intensity, and you may have seen me do this one before too, you just get one leg out of the equation and you do those elevated glute thrusts with one leg at a time. You do 8 per side, for example. But then of course we don't have the band in there, so I kind of wanted to get a little bit of that hip work in there too, so I went the band route today. But you know, lots of different ways to hit that particular family of exercises. All right, elbows pointing forward, hips locked out, ribs down, just moving at that elbow joint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. And one more time on those band pull aparts. Arms straight out. Once again, hips locked out, ribs down, shoulders back and down away from the ears. 1, bring those shoulder blades together, little squeeze. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, folks, that was our accessory day. Tomorrow we'll be back with core day. So it's going to be a pretty intense day of all core all the time. Of course, we'll hit it from a bunch of different directions. Going to be lots of variety, lots of fun. And after that, we get a nice little day to rest. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.